Working with Mark, I mean, I loved it. I think there were two parts to selling the business that Mark and I took. So Mark Woolley, he did a lot of the the financials, the documentation part of the due diligence and preparing that. And it's not to make it sound like Mark Sapsford and I weren't working hard, but we went to New York and London. We met buyers, potential buyers.
So you were whining and dining while I was working.
Pretty
Is that
much.
the idea?
Pretty
Exactly
much. Now
right.
it's all coming out.
I think that's closer to the truth. Yeah.
So I loved it. I thought it was an amazing adventure. But I remember Mark Sapsford giving us a little practice run for if we were going to meet a buyer and what did we have to sell that the buyer would be paying money for. So he said, look, I'm just going to run you through some questions. And, Mark and I used to pitching business. And so we did these questions on this phone call with Mark. He was in the UK. We were in Australia at the time. And we answered these questions. And I thought I was being really helpful in my answers. Oh, yes, we could do that for you. Absolutely, buyer. We'd be happy to share that with you. Yes, yes, yes. And then we finished the phone call and we said to Mark, so how do we do it? And he goes, we've got some work to do. Basically, you were giving away a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just like, right. It was the classic, when you come to selling a business, you don't know what you don't know. You can be extremely competent in your field. You can, have set up a successful business. It's ready for sale. But selling is a process. And why risk everything you've done just to be an amateur in that space when it's probably the most important stage of the business journey? And I think the other thing that really ran through our mind was Mark wanted to know the culture of the business and find us a buyer where there was a good cultural match. And we had read about, a lot of mergers and acquisitions fail, not so much the financial match, but the cultural match. And you can't put that in a contract. So Mark wanted to know the business. He came out, he met with us personally. We had a lot of conversations on the phone. He didn't shy away saying, you're going to have to find time to get all your documentation in order. He wanted us to put the business in the best possible light during due diligence, and that meant we had to get a lot of documentation, collate it. The buyer might want it in this format. We had it in this format. You need to change it into this format. So I think for people looking at selling a business, you get an advisor and you have to allocate time. And you've got to balance that with working on the business as the leader, the owner of the business. And it goes back to a comment I made earlier. You can't be good at everything. So get people who are really good at what you need them to be good at. And, we searched for business advisors, and what Mark Sapsford was writing about, talking about, speaking about really resonated with us. And I don't like to use the word sort of fairy tale ending, but when you tell the story, people go, it's like a fairy tale. I said, yeah, it has been. We're really fortunate, but you work hard and you're smart when you come to sell the business.
The other thing that we found as someone who hadn't sold a business before was the time it takes. It's not something that happens in 3 weeks. It's a long process, and you have to be prepared for it to be a long process. So, meeting with potential buyers, getting all the documentation for the due diligence all set up, negotiating the final terms, meeting with the final buyers and negotiating contracts and everything takes an awful lot of time. And that's something that having a good advisor holding your hand, we found really invaluable. It was reassuring. It was good to have someone saying, look, don't worry, this is perfectly normal. Yep, this happens all the time. This is the way it works.
Yeah, what's normal, what's not.
Yeah, rather than saying, well, how come it's not sold? We've been going this for 3 weeks now. Why isn't it sold? And it's like, well, it doesn't take... So it's that experience. And, if you're going to go down the journey of selling your business, in our opinion, going without an advisor is madness.
Yeah, probably the silliest business decision.
To make all these great decisions to build your business, but then, or maybe with a friend to tell you what to do, I think it's crazy. I think you need professional
Yeah.
guidance and help. I mean, we go to our clients to give them professional help. We need to, as a business, need to go to someone to get professional help to sell the business.
And I think the other thing you're saying about the time, it's time for documentation, but it's also time for your people, your staff. So the buyer in our instance wasn't buying what Karen and Mark Woolley could write. They're buying what can your staff do, what can your staff write. And so you really, if you two leave the business, what have I bought? And so, that can take years where you are really building up your team and their skills, their leadership skills, their management skills, to a point where you can honestly, put your hand across your heart and say to the buyer, and know deep down, they are buying a business where they've got some fabulous assets. And the assets, are the people, and the people are fantastic because we've invested in them. And so you
along with good policies and processes, so that the staff know how to operate under appropriate guidelines within the company.
You two can go. We've bought a good
and
business.
that means exactly the two can be kicked out, and other people.
That's not what happened, by the way.
No, it's not what happened with us.
but
which we may talk about, but in many instances,
if we left
the founders
after the contracts, they had bought a good business with good people.
Yeah, a good, solid, strong, well-structured business which was profitable.
But that takes time again. So again, you want to know as you're approaching that point whether it's driven by professional reasons, personal reasons. Give yourself, I would say, a good, 3 years, 5 years to start be thinking about, well, where are we now? And again, when we sell, what are we selling and who will want to part money to buy it? Are we there yet? What do we need to do? And don't put yourself under stress.
And it's probably worth for businesses thinking of exiting at some point in the next 3 to 5 years, maybe touching base with an advisor to get some early discussions going about what does your business need to look like if you're going to sell it. And it may be that the advisor might say, well, you're not quite there yet. You need to build up your revenue, or you need to build up your EBITDA, or whatever it could be, or you need to get your paperwork or your policies, or you need to get office space or whatever it might be to become attractive. And that's where I think a good advisor can provide a lot of expertise.